Hi folks, so I'm just going to take you for a bit of a walk around. Very shaky because my camera doesn't have image stabilization. I'm just I guess testing out the microphone and all that, but I thought what I'd do is a quick video updating my garden, because my garden's in a bit of a state at the moment, from 4 years ago where everything was kind of really working well and the aquaponics was going and all that sort of stuff. The last few years I've had a lot of trips. I've been away a lot. I've got rid of the chickens because I haven't been around to look after them. I've got rid of the fish because I've actually set up 2 other aquaponic systems down at work, and I've actually used some of the parts from here to set those up, so some of the parts from home. Just a quick update. I used to open my house up for Sustainable House Day and that, and so show people the garden and all that sort of stuff. When I originally set the garden up, sorry, the cars keep going past, I did a permaculture plan. So I went through and mapped out where all the water was moving into and out of the garden, nutrient flow through the garden, all of that sort of stuff, lighting, all those things, and I came up with this design here. Okay, that might be a bit hard to see. Very complicated, I know, but it sort of shows where everything is, and there's a good map for people who are coming here to look at the garden. They could go and see what each of the features were. That's the basic basis of it, and I've pretty much followed that plan all the way through, but I think now it's time to reevaluate and maybe sort of make some changes, particularly with things that require ongoing maintenance like the aquaponics and the chickens. I'll probably keep some of those in place so they could be re-implemented later, but might simplify things down a bit and make everything a whole lot smaller and more manageable. Perhaps even repurpose some of the aquaponics beds for wicking beds and things like that. Anyway, what you'll see is that things are very overgrown at the moment. There's a lot of weeds and things like that, and there's a lot of stuff which is collapsed, fallen down, rotted timbers and things like that. So I'll run you through it quickly. So starting off at the front, you can see everything's quite overgrown. Okay. So up here is my food hedge, and it's kind of really overgrown, and there's a lot of weeds on the road and that, which I need to deal with. All the herbs are basically in place as they were before, except again stacks of weeds. These I can't seem to get rid of these things. They just drive me nuts. They seem to produce seed from about that height, and they're just really hard to get rid of, and of course the farmers' friends and things like that. But this is supposed to be all parsley here, and obviously it's gone, but the parsley's moved over here. It's kind of taken over where the where the thyme was. It's sort of killed off all the thyme, but at least I've still got some parsley to eat. Something that's been a bit of a success the last few years, which I didn't have before. I still had these wicking beds across the front, but before I was growing various things in them. Now I've kind of moved them over to exclusively to strawberries, and I'm using an alpine strawberry, and they're absolutely fantastic because they just keep coming back, and they actually self-seed. So I've started off with maybe half a dozen or so plants, and I've got quite a few now. So I have these beds. I'm gradually filling them with strawberries. I also interplant garlic, as you'll see. Okay, some fresh garlic going up here from the stuff that I grew last year. I had a really good crop last year of garlic, so lots of that coming up. But these strawberries are great, these alpine strawberries. Okay, they're really small, but they're really tasty, and I just come out every morning and just grab a whole bunch and put in my porridge. These strawberries, they keep producing all year round pretty much. I mean, they are seasonal to some extent, but they're a fruit now, coming into winter, so they're really cool. Anyway, I have companion plants as well, like this stuff, which I keep forgetting the name of, borage. Which grow sort of, I've planted around these beds, but you can see they're falling apart, you know, and at some point I'm going to have to do something about it. I'm going to have to replace them, I guess. Even these ones up here are rotting. See that? Yeah, not the best. Okay, that's one job. Now I'd like to widen these paths here and also stop weeds growing in them. So you can see I've got gravel, but it's gradually fills up with dirt. So yeah, those need to be sort of dug out, you know, the gravel cleaned or new gravel put in, and widened, because I find them a bit narrow. So I'm going to move these plants here. This is type of chili, very hot chili. Okay, so just quickly up around the front. In the centre here I've got some deciduous plants, so I've got various stone fruit and what do you call them? Anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. That grow in the centre here, but they've never been particularly well organised, so again I'd like to a spouty of these. I've put in some frames just to try and get it a bit more organised, but it's a bit of a difficult spot to grow, really. Back to the aquaponics beds, which again, like last time, didn't really have much in them. Okay. And they're not running at the moment because, as I said, I've disassembled most of the aquaponics system. Just under the shade here, this is my food hedge, and the road's obviously there. Compost heap, a lot of the timbers have rotted in that, as you can see. Okay. I've had a bit of a clean out, got rid of some of the arrowroot which was blocking all around my my water pipe. With the compost, what I've done is I've put in this metal which came off one of the roofs in at work, quite handy. I've also used it down the back, I'll show you soon, but yeah, quite good for the compost anyway. Okay. It's really busy here at the moment. There's a lot of traffic, which isn't really helping. As you can see, the aquaponics just not running. All of these beds that I put in, these deep water raft systems, these are the rafts here, the foam. I hadn't really sort of fully implemented them, and you know, they're just sitting there at the moment, so I think I'll come up with something different for that. The aquaponics. Sump, fish tank. That never really worked particularly well. The strawberry towers, unfortunately. Got a couple of different types of tower there, but neither of them really worked. These ones have gravel, those ones don't. Okay, solar panel. I found the pumps kept wearing out with that anyway, the 12 volt pumps. That seemed to be one of the challenges, actually finding a decent 12 volt pump. This is an extension of the sump. I'm just planning on stripping all this down and turning these into wicking beds at some point. Sorry about the backlighting there. Side of the house, similar. I got these going a little bit better. The aloe vera. Okay. No chickens at the moment. Same thing, you know, just time and, you know, having to get people in to come and look after them, I think was just too much hassle. So what I'm thinking of doing with the chook pen is just to reduce it down to a small area, clean it out as much as possible so that I could put chickens in there if I wanted to, or even for short periods. But, you know, just basically, yeah, fix it all up again and get it so it could work, but, you know, I can leave it unattended if necessary, and it's not going to, you know, get rid of all the weeds and that's not going to be a problem. Here's more of that roofing material from work. Really good stuff. So I used it for my banana circles. Unfortunately we had some pretty dry weather, so the bananas have sort of died back, but I'm hoping to get them going again. I've got little patches of bananas down here. The dragon fruit's gone completely nuts just in that one area, so and obviously the weeds as well down the bottom here, so I've got to do something there. What I'm thinking of doing is just ripping out most of the dragon fruit and replanting it, just in taking a slightly different approach with it, doing it similar to how some of the commercial guys do it. So have a frame, just a lower frame that the dragon fruit grows up, and having multiple plants along the back fence. So I've got a lot of cleaning out there to do and a lot of modification. I'm not going to have the chicken run going down the back as I did before. So at one stage chickens could actually go all the way down the back there, okay, and all the way down the side, but I think that's just too complicated. It makes it too hard for me to get in and do maintenance and that, so I'm going to get rid of all that chicken wire and just set it up so I've got a run of dragon fruit going across the back there, because the dragon fruit are fantastic. I get dozens of fruit every year, but it's just so disorganized. I find it really hard to get in. So that's one thing. I'm going to put in some more beds down here. As you can see, I've got the frames laid out. Okay, that's a start. Another important thing, I'm going to get rid of some of these bigger plants down the side here. So for example, this mulberry, which was supposed to be a dwarf but never actually ended up being dwarf. In fact, it's absolutely massive. Goes right up past my roof, yeah, that's got to go. Unfortunately, the roots get everywhere, and you know, the branches all sort of get up under the house, so that's got to be cut back, and the custard apple there. So I think I'll probably just put small deciduous things in here, if anything, along this this section here. And obviously a lot of cleaning up to do, and the same under the house. The water tanks, unfortunately, I've never connected them up to the house. I did a lot of plumbing work and a lot of modification so that I could capture water from all around the house. See here, but it's all unfortunately not gone very far. So what I'm going to try and do is just set it up so that I can use the water from these on the garden. So there's a lot of capacity here. I originally set it up to run the house so I could save water, but I think I'm just going to modify it. It just seems too complicated with all the regulations and that, you know, getting using your water tanks for the house. You need special filters and all that sort of stuff, so I'm thinking I'll just use it for the garden, so set it up so I can irrigate the garden more effectively from the water tanks. Okay, so that's pretty much it. As I said with the chook pen, I'm just going to sort of get rid of a lot of this extra space here that I've got for the chickens, and just reduce the run just down to this area here. Okay, and then have the pen and everything there. I think that should be fine, and probably won't have chickens in there most of the time, but if I want to, I can bring some in. I always intended to espalier these citrus on both sides, so that's another job. Try and get them going properly. They're not really very healthy, so the citrus in the middle here never did particularly well because it's too shaded, so really needs some decent sun. So I think getting rid of that from there, and just, you know, also clearing some of keeping the hedge under more control so a bit more light gets into the garden would be a good thing as well.